yet. And then once I learn what I'm doing, I'm like, y'all could treat me a lot better for this. I deserve a lot more for this.
Wow, this is some bullshit right here. Now that you kicked me out of the nest and I'm flying through the sky and trying to flap my wings here, I don't think you're giving me enough.
I don't like this.
You didn't set me up right.
Can you imagine being that sensitive? Like you.
Well, that's
like
what
that
they're
is the
PC as
ultimate.
hell. Hey, you know what? This is the freest goddamn country, and it's so free that if you don't stand up, you aren't a free person. And goddamn it, boy, if you don't stand up right now, you ain't free. Because you have the freedom to do whatever you want. But I'm telling you, I have the freedom to make you feel bad for doing the freedom. Just get up and say you love it. Just get up right now, Copernic. God damn it. It's so free that you can't do it. You have to. It's free because there's only one way to be. That's why it's free. So be that. Damn you. They don't have anything to live. I mean, their kids hate them. They don't have, all their money got stolen by banksters and shit. Healthcare's running through the fucking roof.
Polite about it.
It's just not the polite way to have sex.
That's just really one way to have sex that's polite, and it's to say, ma'am, or sir, or non-binary person, would you like to enjoy some making love with me? And then if they answer yes, then you mount that person and you move back and forth politely, and then you kind of finish it up and you say, that was great, and then you never mention it again. That's the right way to have sex, okay?
And folks, and that's why we don't do any sort of sex advice or sex stuff on this show, because there's none to be given.
I am wise!
I want you to write the polite sex book, like the proper polite method.
I just said it.
Oh my God, have you heard the news? Kids are dying of Kratom.
That's not true.
They're injecting it into their veins.
I don't think that's happening.
An ABC Action News exclusive. A mom says a popular herb killed her son.
The most recent death happened in early June. Kratom, also known as metrogenine, was one of 4 drugs blamed for his death.
This was like the devil's drug.
It really is just a green powder that makes people feel better.
Yeah, it's a leaf. It grows from the ground. You smash it up. You make a tea out of it. You throw it down the back of your throat. You eat some capsules, and you feel better. Your mind's clear. And most people that use Kratom don't have access to healthcare or prescriptions or any of that regular medicine stuff. They get it from local stores or online.
Let's do an example here. You're a young person. You don't understand how all this works, so let me explain this to you. When you get hurt in your older age, let's say you're 34, you work on a roof, you fall off, and you crush your fucking heel, right? It's all shattered. The doctor 10, 15 years ago was like, that's fucked up, that really hurts. You're gonna need some opioids to kill that pain. And then the DEA says, no, you can't have those anymore. These doctors have to tighten up their prescriptions. And now you don't have any. You can't afford them. What do? You can take Kratom. It has the same effects, it's less addictive, and it's more gross. So that even brings down the use. You're not gonna use it as much. Kratom kills the pain in your body. It also cures social anxiety.
The government's solution to stuff like this is always prohibition, which means putting more people in jail.
How big is your appetite for the war on drugs? I'm sure it's small. It's shrinking every single day. Don't let them continue it. Don't let them outlaw more stuff.
Good point.
Thank you. How many times have you gone into work and then looked at your boss and said, what are they doing? You ever think about the levels at a job, Brett? Of course, the people on the very bottom. What do?
Usually clean.
Yeah, and then there is the people just above them. They're the ones that do the second hardest job at the place, right?
Deal with customers?
Yeah, that sort of thing. And then there's another level above that. And that's the manager that's in the place. Now let's think about what comes after that, right? You might have a guy named like Glenn that comes to your office every 6 months and you have to lay out the red carpet for Glenn. Think about what the person above Glenn does. Jerry is the person above Glenn, right?
Okay.
His job is basically going to lunch, right?
Yeah, powerful meetings,
Yeah.
shaking hands real hard.
We're gonna go up to the CEO now. The people that sit around a table and who knows what they're doing? Nobody knows what they talk about.
Playing cards.
What connection does that person have to what you do and what the customer gets? It just seems like you could really chop like 5 or 6 levels off of any job and the company would still run perfectly.
Think about your job. Now imagine your manager isn't there. How much smoother would your day run?
I mean, how many of you work a job where you don't even know who the fucking CEO is of the company? That means they're absolutely useless. They're parasites.
They're on the top, getting most of the money, sending their kids to private school, driving the fanciest cars, and they can't make a sandwich. Every new level of hierarchy is more money coming out of your paycheck. Unions are fucking great because it's not HR.
You need solidarity with the other workers. We need to use that and exercise that. You and your other workers are the most important people at that company. I mean, hell, the way I think about it, maybe you don't get a union at all and you just take the whole company away from the bosses, and that's called a co-op.
For the almighty dollar, everyone's a slave. Cause what's the point of doing shit if you ain't getting paid? Ay.
You know, you probably hear people constantly talking about this horrible thing called capitalism.
I have.
Yeah, you've heard that?
Yes.
You're like, what? How does capitalism affect me? I will tell you, it runs your entire fucking life. You've probably heard of socialism or communism. Communism. And they say they try to control your entire life. Your whole day is taken away from you. What control do you have?
Hey everybody, welcome to Street Fight Radio. It's that time of the week. It's the call-in show. We're here to hear your stories about what's going on in your neck of the woods. 614-655-3887 is that number to dial. We are the #1 anarcho-comedy radio show on any station across the nation. And we've been doing it for 9 years now. Super long time. If you want to go see the full archive, it's at wcrsfm.org. They've also air us every Sunday night. If you're in Columbus, you can listen to Street Fight on the airwaves by tuning to WCRS. We are also live streaming, so if you're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, or Twitter, you can jump in and hang with everybody. There's a unified chat that works. I know that some of you go to the Patreon link and then you make comments on the Patreon page, and I'll get to those, of course. But if you want to get in the live chat, just head straight over to YouTube or Twitch or whatever it may be. We appreciate it as always. And if you want to help us spread this mess across the U.S., right now we are raising money with a mask and shirt fundraiser that's a pre-order that's closing in 2 weeks. Wavy, the guy that did our background for our new TV show, hooked us up with a really sick design. They're fucking tight shirts. I can't wait to get them. That's available at store.streetfightradio.com. And Patreon people, there's a code for you for 20% off of those as well. As a show of thank you for your continued support. We continue to do this thing every single week. I'm Brett. He's Brian. How are you?
Oh, great. Wild weekend, right? I mean, not a wild weekend.
Wild weekend, really.
We hung out yesterday, but news-wise, feel like there's something I want to touch on because it'll be old by the time we do Wednesday's show.
Yeah, big news today. Pierre Gasly wins his first Formula One race. It was huge.
Yeah.
It was amazing. The best race of the season so far.
That's what people were waiting for. That was it.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was
Pierre
in tears.
Gasly.
When
He's the real lucky Pierre.
The whole team was screaming and yelling. The way the whole paddock sang the Italian national anthem, bursting their lungs with joy. It was an awesome fucking moment.
It's beautiful.
I loved it.
It's beautiful. What I was talking about was the Trump boat parade.
Oh, yeah.
The big news.
The Lake
this
Travis.
weekend that I couldn't stop watching. And you know, I don't get tied into the news. Too crazy a lot of times. During election year, I tend to be more into it, and this year way into it. We were talking yesterday. I want to put the TV out on the patio and fucking have a watch party for the debate, and not stream it because everybody else is going to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, like
personal enjoyment
for my personal,
like it's a game, like it's the big game
for our. It is the Super Bowl of debates. This
You're
is the two most intelligent men in our country going head to head and locking horns on a stage.
Undecided voters are going to be tuning in to find out how they can handle it. You know, when they go toe to toe.
Yeah, it's like it's better than like I remember. The funny thing about the debates this year is like I'm at like the same fever pitch as I was for Tyson versus Holyfield, which was just a huge, like everybody in the world was like, I gotta see this thing.
Yeah.
You know?
We scammed some parents to get it for us.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I was at somebody's house who was like excited to get it. And then they were mad because of what happened. And me, always being a wrestling guy, was like, that is the best possible way a boxing match could end.
Yeah.
Like, I don't,
yeah, that was out of nowhere. That was the most surprising thing I've ever seen.
Maybe if you had money on it, it made you a little hot under the collar. But for me, it was like, oh yeah, I can't think of a better way, except for when that guy parachuted into the boxing match. That's another good one. I like that one too.
Was it the one? Where's the? Oh, I can't remember that one where he keeps punching that guy in the dick. He just keeps hitting him below the belt. It's really funny to see because it's like, well, this is the smartest way to win the fight, but you're not allowed to do that.
I'll tell you what. I mean, you still like the thing is though. Do you get? We're so dumb.
Yeah.
Do you get disqualified after one under the belt?
I don't know. I think so.
Because I sort of feel like if I was like training, I would just be like, I'm just gonna fucking uppercut this guy right in the fucking dick. And like
just get one. Well, you have one.
You know you have one just as hard as you can, right in the fucking burst one of his balls open in his pants.
No.
And then like I feel like you'll win the fight after. You'll like get the KO.
Well, it buys you some time. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, yes, you will lose on points if you punch a guy in the dick. But if you don't get disqualified for it, you might not need the points. Is my point.
Sure, I can see that making sense. It's like it's like the Hail Mary. The low blow is the Hail Mary of boxing.
You get in a boxing ring, right, and the guy across the ring from you is like, you just know he's tougher than you after like the first 3 punches. You know, that's got to be a fucking mind fuck. Yeah. You know, like I don't remember what I was listening to a Pancrase thing one time. Boz Rutan was like narrating his own Pancrase matches, and I might be wrong about that. It might have been somebody else, but I was just listening to this thing, and a guy was like, I got in there and I started to fight, and I realized that this guy hits a lot harder than I do.
Okay.
And that it really hurt to get hit by him, and it really made me nervous for the whole rest of the fight.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Like, where it's like, I'm such a fucking weakling that if I got in and I got hit one time and I realized that the guy was just stronger than me, I'd just lay down.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have the fighting spirit.
I would just put the X up myself. Like, yeah. I'm done. Fuck this, man.
That has to suck, though, when you're in the middle of that and you're like, oh, my God, I've never been that hard before. Hit that hard before. You put that in your mind. It's like when you're on like when I'm running, I'm like trying to get extra time. I can feel my body give up as soon as my mind decides. Like, as soon as I'm like, I'm losing it here, I can just feel my whole like body go slack and kind of just like, all right, we're done. We can crap out of the run. We got an excuse right now.
I do that too, man. When I get like, when I push myself in anything there does come a point where my body just like kind of turns to spaghetti, and it's like, you're not doing anything anymore. You're done. You know?
I'm really into pushing myself hard. That's why I like running and stuff. But there's just times when I know I'm overdoing it, or, there's just it's just as soon as I think it happens.
Yeah. So we were hanging yesterday, and I was on Twitter and I saw it, but I didn't read the news story. And you know how like sometimes you kind of hear about something going on and you're like, oh, that seems interesting. But then you file it away for later, and then later on give it a read.
Uh-huh.
That boat thing was fucking incredible.
Technically not news, but...
It is news.
Oh, really?
The boat parade is news. Yeah, it's in the New York Times. I consider anything in the New York Times to be news.
Well, I think that's fair. I think that's...
Or fake news. You know how they say fake news, that whole... the president says. But so
we're giving both sides now.
Yeah, fake news. What ended up happening was they decided, these guys, these Trump people decided we're gonna do a boat parade, and here's why. This was their reason. It won't block traffic.
Oh my goodness. That's all they care about.
I know.
More than anything. They're like, what if I was trying to get to Wendy's before it closed and one of these BLM protests stops me? What am I supposed to do?
It's what
I have the right to go to Wendy's right now. They can't impede my happiness.
That's what the guy said, and I was like, dude, it's fucking pointless. It is a pointless protest if you cause nobody any sort of inconvenience. Then it's just like, you can just be like, nah. You know what I mean? It's a person standing on the sidewalk yelling at people as they walk by. That's all that is. Is that like we have our headphones in and we just walk by the person. We're like, whatever,
It sounds like just really showing off your boat. It just sounds like dick measuring contests. Oh, really?
And there were all different kinds of boats. And when I got out there, the boats started to cause waves that were too much for some of the boats. And then the waves got choppy because they're boating. They don't think about the science behind boating. Obviously, they don't.
No, these are they put 10 pounds of tannerite in a laundry machine and lose a fucking finger.
Yeah,
they don't want to be told no, or that like you can't actually put this many boats here.
Yeah, because if you do these boats this way, then the wakes will sink some of the boats. And it sank 4 of the boats. They had 4 boats sink yesterday.
Well, they'll get a GoFundMe. They'll get bigger and better boats.
God, I don't want to hear that because I probably got boat insurance anyway. They
yeah,
that's
get a
true.
Free
boat out of the deal. If you sink your boat, you probably get another boat.
That's
anyway.
great.
That's the way.
That's the American dream.
It's like if anybody deserves anything less, it's a guy with a boat. You
yeah,
know?
yeah.
It's like if I had a boat,
like God took that from you. That's like God took that from you.
Right. If I finally got my boat, I would not expect you to feel sorry for me if I lost my boat. I would expect you to think, oh, he's just gonna buy another boat.
Yeah.
Like this guy can just go buy another boat. Because if you got a boat, you can buy another one.
Right.
There are like working people who get boats. Rare. There's always like every blue collar job I ever had, there was like one guy with a boat, 1 or 2 guys with a boat, and they would take all the boys, their little group of boys, not all the boys, I was never invited, out to Lake Erie, and they would go fish on somebody's boat. And this was every fucking job I ever had.
Yeah. It
was always like there were 1 or 2 dudes with a boat. But most of the people with boats are like computer programmers. Well, probably not programmers, right? Like the famous landscaping business owner.
Yeah.
Our favorite scapegoat.
Insurance agents. Huge insurance agents. Yeah.
Yeah. Because boats are like, not only are they expensive to buy, they are a payment. I don't think any of these people are buying their boats outright. Right. Like it's all credit.
That's a payment, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So you already got a boat payment. And then I have talked to people about the gas that a boat, because I always said, if we get rich, we ever got that big payday in the future, I'm going to get a boat. And every single person to the person that I've talked to is like, whew, It costs a lot of money in gas and storage.
Yeah.
It's just everything about a boat is expensive. And also, everybody I know that's owned a boat has told me, you're just going to want to get rid of the boat as soon as you get the fucking boat.
Yeah.
And I'll never use the boat.
Right.
I know I won't. I just love the idea of being able to go on a boat.
Go rent one. You're old enough.
You can rent boats?
Yes, you can rent boats.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'll look into that.
Yeah.
Because my wife's grandmother, when she was still alive, had a yacht, but not a yacht, like not a rich people yacht. Well, a rich people yacht, right? Like, so she married this guy and they owned a nightclub, and they ended up getting a yacht, and they were like rich to the level where they were very comfortable, but they couldn't like give the money down the line. You know what I mean?
They spent it all.
Yeah. They spent it all.
Overextended.
Yeah, like my in-laws weren't able to like live off of that. It wasn't like an estate. You know what I mean?
A yacht is a 33-foot long pleasure vehicle.
Yes. So they had
That's
this
a huge
yacht.
fucking boat.
It was big. Katie always tell you it's big, and it was fun. And what they would do is they would get on the Ohio River down there. They would take that motherfucker down to Florida.
Yeah.
And that, to me, that's a dream right there. That is a fucking wow. You know.
I don't know.
That doesn't sound good to you. Probably no good restaurants on the way.
Yeah, I was gonna say I said I don't know for you. That sounds fun for me, but I can also eat stuff that's been like wrapped in cellophane. Like I can eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch.
Well, I mean, the thing is, if you're traveling down the coast, then you're basically taking a boat through tourist places, like all the way down to Florida. I don't think I bet you there's not 50 miles of space on the coast that there isn't a bunch of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I know people
built that whole thing down there.
Yeah.
But it's all junk because it's on the coast. Like the East Coast is, I don't know about California because we've never gone to the beach while we were there. But the East Coast is like the trashiest part of the country. That boat, the ocean part, right? Like that whole East Coast. Oh,
the whole fucking coast from
a lot of it. I will say 85% of it. Everything I've been to is like Myrtle Beach, the Outer Banks, which aren't bad. They're not bad places. I would visit these places. I am not above going to these places. They just aren't.
They're the same place though.
Well, Myrtle Beach, the Outer Banks, Hilton Head,
Virginia Beach. Have you been there?
Tibby Island. I've not been able to go to Virginia Beach, but you've told me about Virginia Beach.
Oh no, it's junk.
You have given Virginia Beach a bad name.
Yeah.
So like for me, it's like I'm at the point now in my life where I could see myself going to Myrtle Beach or Virginia Beach and like actually having a very good time, you know, post COVID, or whatever. And we talked about that this year. It's like there was a period where like anybody in my life would be like, let's go to the Outer Banks, let's go to Hilton Head, and I would say no because I'm almost 40 years old at the time, and it's like I've been on like 4 vacations, and they're all in the same fucking place, which was down there in that area.
Yeah,
and there were so many places I wanted to see.
Yeah,
and I've seen those places now. And now I'm willing to go to a place with the bad t-shirts and all that crap.
Yeah, where when you go sit down to eat, they just give you a roll of paper towels, and the salt and pepper shakers are Corona bottles with holes punched in the top.
They'll curse at you. Go to a salty dog cafe where you like sit out on a fucking deck and overlook the water, and like birds keep coming down and just are kind of walking around on it's the worst.
What's that? Jonathan Dennis in the chat brought up one of the favorites. This happens usually 2 or 3 days in. You've been beat up by the sun for several days now. You get home and you're like, you know what? I don't want to go out, gang. Can we just order pizza maybe and put on a movie? Then you get to try the worst pizza you've ever had in your life because it's beach pizza.
Yes. I forgot to bring towels the last time I went to the beach. And I went.
What?
Yes. I forgot to bring towels the
yeah.
last time I went to I went to Oak Island, right? And I went to the beach store to buy the towels. It's a very long time in my life. I was making some money, but not like a lot. You know, it's cable money. I was making the cable money, which I make more now than I did then. But
you don't pay taxes.
True. I will. Though.
Yeah. And then,
trust me.
Yeah, we're gonna have to adjust the math soon.
We're gonna have to figure that out. So I make more now than I did then, and the money. I got down there and I went and I had to get a towel. I went to the store, the souvenir store, right?
Yep.
And they had 3 towels for $10. But they had all these other towels too. But I saw 3 towels for $10, so I bought 3 towels.
Yeah.
For $10.
Paper mache towels?
Not paper mache. They were more waterproof, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, when you start trying to dry yourself off and it's like Rain-X. It's just beating.
It just sheets off of it. I went and bought one forever ago. I bought this Rottweiler towel. It just says Rottweiler real big. And it's like a Rottweiler standing there all diesel. And my wife was like, so I guess is this your main beach towel now? And I was like, no, not at all. Because it doesn't work. It's so hard. It's plastic, basically. Yeah. It's like a piece of AstroTurf. The water just doesn't stick to it.
That's why I was looking yesterday.
This is art tag on the wall. This is like a mural.
I was looking at something. Yes, I was looking at those mirrors you used to get at the Carnival yesterday online.
No, not even mirrors. They print out a piece of paper, they put it in a cardboard frame and slide a piece of glass in front of it.
Some of them, but there were other ones that were mirrors and they would spray paint it on.
But you dug up the glass ones, which I remember cutting my fucking hands open on a Bart Simpson piece of glass.
Me too, buddy. Me too. I had a Cinderella one, the band. Cinderella, had a Guns N' Roses one. I want to get 10 of those and make those my living room decor now.
Really?
If we could have made that wall those mirrors, I would have just fucking tiled it with those mirrors.
The mirrors were so hard to get. I always wanted the Budweiser Babes one, but they were you always had to win 10 times or something. It would be the extra large prize. I never got the mirror finish one.
God, well, no,
never won.
You're talking about. I think you're talking more about the bigger ones.
Yeah.
Right? No, I'm just talking about the small square ones.
That's a mirror?
Yeah, because it would be a mirror that I think they sprayed.
Right.
It was a sprayed on etching. Yeah. And it was cheap. It had to cost fucking nothing.
Yeah.
You know? And the ones that, and my parents would get mad when you got a bottoms up or a, you know what I mean? Hot chick with a Corvette.
Yeah.
But it really made me wish. It made me feel weird about the times we're in now. Because when you go to a carnival now, the prizes aren't good. The prizes at a carnival are never going to be good because carnies buy them.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it works. But they're all it's not the same character of my friend Adam got a garbage. No, it was a Marilyn Manson mirror. And it had Shirley Manson from Garbage on it.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just shit like that, man, where it was just the...
Yeah.
You know.
Winnie the Hoot Bear.
Just cynical shit.
Yeah.
And I want... It's the only thing you really get out of a carnival now is they have stuffed minions and stuff like that. Whatever the big character is. They probably got a stuffed Ferdinand from the John Cena movie, I'm sure. But... they don't
the John Cena vehicle.
Yeah, Ferdinand, remember that?
That rocks. It's a good movie. We watch it a lot. It's popular.
That's when Glenn was really into Fred Claus and it was what?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's back then you could get some real fucking junk. Some real cynical, crummy rock and roll junk.
I remember being a kid and getting just an AC/DC a piece of paper with just a pane of glass in front of it, and it's like, what am I supposed to do with this?
It goes on your wall.
It goes on your wall.
And then you're like,
I would get also mad because I didn't want it too, and they would get mad at me then and say I'm ungrateful or something, you know?
Yeah, trying to find a band you like too. Like I really like Guns N' Roses, but Guns N' Roses was like on a different level than Cinderella.
Right.
So like I was like, well, I mean, I like Nobody's Fool by Cinderella. I guess I'll take Cinderella.
Yeah.
Because I didn't win the Motley Crue level of fucking picture.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. A piece of paper and a pane of glass.
It's fucking, you know what though? Better than what they give now. I think.
Yeah.
It's all just like,
the thing about it,
it's boring IP. It's like the regular ass IP that you buy. It's basically like winning a prize at a carnival now is like when you get to dig out a prize at the dentist when you're a kid. It's basically just the same shit you would get for a prize at the dentist. You know, the big festival we have in my neighborhood, a lot of the kids win 2 liters of pop, which it's amazing to me because that's something. You put a fucking 2 liter in my hand when I was a kid, and trust me, it'd be gone in a half a day.
It's
not
gone.
a whole day.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be walking around with fucking 2 liters.
I'm like, I gotta drink this before it goes flat.
Yeah, because it would be like 89 cents for a 2. You would see that a 2 liter was 89 cents, and you'd be like, why am I buying a fucking can? You know? They get a 2 liter for 89 cents, or a 3 liter. The generic pop had 3 liters. Lots of pop. It was called Lots of Pop. And I would get that all the time. We can take to the phones now. That was fun. The boat sank. Maybe we'll get some Portland calls tonight. Maybe we'll get some small business tyrants.
Yeah, I hope
Maybe
so.
Andrew Yang will call in.
That would be interesting.
Will you bug Andrew Yang listeners? Just tell them to call into the show and talk about WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment. All right. Also, just hit Twitter support and tell them to fix my account. You know? I just put in another ticket today. This is 2 weeks in, another ticket. And my new account is still only at like 7,000 followers, which is, it's really, because if I could get this up to 31K, I would just forget about the old one.
Right. I mean, you'll get there again. All the greats had to rebuild at one point.
I don't know, but they didn't have to rebuild like this. Like, they didn't stall. Well, I'm not stalled out. I keep getting about 100, 200 a day.
Yeah.
But I feel stalled out, you know? It bums me out.
All right, let's get on the phone.
All the greats did have to rebuild. Maybe I'm a great now.
Thank you for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight?
Hello, this is Danny, the bike messenger from Brooklyn, and you've caught me literally as I'm delivering food to someone.
Cool.
Tell them we said hi when you... Oh, is it a no-contact delivery?
Some of them are, some of them aren't. It kind of depends.
I love a no-contact. I'm so into no-contact delivery now that it's going to be hard to go back, in my opinion.
I mean, it's super cool when they come down from like a 4-story walk up. That's super awesome. I really appreciate that.
Oh, we don't have those though. See, that's the setup for us. We don't have tall buildings, so you just really it's walking up to my porch and putting it on the porch. I love it.
Yeah, there's like a weird ordinance in Brooklyn where it's a building built before a certain time, like 1920 or whatever, not required to have an elevator. So if you're in like certain parts of Williamsburg and you see like, oh, it's going up to 7G, it just means you're about to climb up 7 sets of stairs.
Oof.
Fuck.
We did some of that in New York when we were there. That's a lot to get used to.
Yeah, it's really something. I actually I feel like you guys have probably brought this up in the past. I mean, obviously you talk about small business tyrants and what have you all the time, but has anybody just sort of touched on like the concept of like, I don't know, just like that one coworker that you have that just sort of ruins it for everybody?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of people, I think a lot of people worry about like coming out, like they think it's like bad solidarity or whatever. But like, I mean, we all do have somebody like that, so it's something that I'm into.
Yeah, I think it's time to develop the whole workplace. I think that is an important part of it. There's somebody that you can't trust. There's somebody that is making the numbers way too high and not willing to work less, you know, that are looking out for themselves, and it kind of ruins it for everyone else. It makes everybody else more cutthroat.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, I work as a bike messenger during the day, and I work for a really small company. And then there's this one guy who I work with who has this. I mean, I don't know. You guys are probably familiar with these people who have like, you're like, oh, this person is manic. And like, I did comedy for 10 years until Corona hit, and then I couldn't do it anymore. So I've seen tons of mania all over the place. And I was working with this guy, and I'm just like, oh yeah, this guy's manic. Like he's kind of crazy, and he just ruins it for everybody else around him. I just wish people would not invest so much in their job if it's just like a regular job. Just like just hang out. You know?
He's thinking about it all the time. Is he like sending out
absolutely
group texts to people on how to improve performance and shit?
That is exactly, you hit it right on the head. That's exactly what's happening.
It's hard though, man, because like the way I think about it is when I was working at the cable company, right? Like I didn't have a connection to the rest of the workers there. I didn't like anybody really. And I didn't play softball with them. I didn't go on I talked about the fishing trip. I didn't go on that, and just didn't have like a relationship outside of the workplace. But like there were a lot of people there that were like, I remember talking to a guy, he was a lead, and he's like a guy that I would never sort of be friends with in real life. You know, he's like a real square guy. And I remember telling him like, oh man, I want to do something else with my life. I want to do some kind of show business or art for my job. And he was like, oh, you know, Brian, that's really great to hear, but I'm a lifer. I'm a cable guy for life. And like I kind of thought about it, and I was like, you know, if I had made that decision for myself, then it would be sad not to give my whole self over to it. You know what I mean?
You're right.
Like, it would just be like, I'm doing this for the rest of my life, and I also like hate it, and I'm like, it's kind of, I had never settled on that as my job. Not hanging out with people at work was sort of my way of saying I haven't just settled on this as being my life. My best days are still ahead of me.
Sure.
I guess. And maybe that's even the way you look at it compared to the other guy who's like, well, I'm probably going to be a bike messenger for the future, for the foreseeable long future. So I might as well make the best of it. It's just like on your side of it, it's like, I wish he would quit trying to motivate me.
See, that's the funny part is like, I totally respect those lifer guys you were talking about, because every guy I've met like that, who is really like that, they have like an element of chillness to them.
Yeah.
And just sort of satisfaction to whatever they're doing, which is a really admirable trait. And I really do that, admire that, and think that's a good thing to have. It's those people who are just sort of like on that bleeding edge of just sort of like, is this like a diagnosable thing? Is this not? Who really feel the need to just like dominate everybody else. Like I worked at a college bookstore once and had like a really similar thing happen once, where this one girl who was literally hired the exact same time as me, we started working as temporary workers, and then for whatever reason, she started telling everybody what to do, and it was really weird because it puts you in that position where you're like, you're not my boss. Like, you're like the other guy we got hired with, like we're all equal, and it's really strange that you're doing this right now. Like, just please be chill.
Yeah, I mean, that is always frustrating, but honestly, that is the way to being the boss. Like, that is how you get to the point where you're going to be management. Like, I've told the story about this guy Jeff I worked with, where he snitched on the guy that was training him for going home and playing video games when he was supposed to be working. And Jeff ended up a supervisor that then ended up in a role higher than my immediate supervisor. And he got there because he always acted like a supervisor.
Yeah.
From his first day at work, he was like, I'm going to be a supervisor, and he acted like one.
Yeah.
And that's how he pulled it off.
Snakes can fly in corporate America.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it is a snake thing, but I think
also
he is a
following the
snake, and I
rules.
think it's wrong. But it's also like, first of all, if you're training somebody, and we've said this on the show before, you do not show them your whole self.
Yeah.
Ever. I mean,
You don't ever.
absolutely never.
Yeah, you don't ever think that, oh, this person's cool, I can tell them I smoke weed. You can't.
Yeah.
You keep them at arm's length. Most likely they're not going to work there in 3 months. So you keep them at arm's distance until then.
No reason to become friends anyway until you know the person. Maybe you work with somebody for a month. I think that is a situation where you can feel comfortable like revealing things about yourself. But like if you're training somebody, you need to like do the job the way you do it, because if you don't do that, they can get you in trouble.
Your boss usually goes to your trainee and says, how did they do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whenever I trained, it was just, I had a happy-go-lucky attitude, and I told them what I was supposed to do, because new people are nervous and they want a job, and they're not going to lie to cover your ass.
Right. It's funny though. I mean, like that is something. It really feels like that is a kind of. You have to have a certain level of job to encounter these people. Because I have found. Well, no, that's not true. Because there were people at McDonald's when I worked there, and Chuck E. Cheese. I remember a guy at Chuck E. Cheese that was no higher than me. He got hired like maybe 6 months before me. So I guess seniority, but that doesn't really mean anything because it can like rise up. You know, you can make it up through there. But like that guy ended up being a supervisor, and he was always narking on people. And like he just went in there and he worked harder than everybody else. And like you just had to. You got to work around that guy. He's one of the guys you hide from.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think it's complicated too by the fact, I don't know how many different types of jobs you've had. I know you've mentioned a bunch of them. I just can't remember all of them. But like, you run into a weird sort of brick wall when you kind of work what I guess some people would kind of consider like, you know, those quote unquote outlaw jobs. Like bike messenger is kind of like wherever you go. It's one of the things where like, I mean, at least back in the mid 2000s, like anybody could get it as a job. So like you could be quasi homeless and get that job. So it just like kind of twists reality even more when you're working in a job where people around you are like live very eccentric and, you know, unique lifestyles. And then you got a guy who's just like, oh, you know me, I work the hardest I ever could, and I'm trying to please the boss in every single way. And it's like, buddy, it's like you do this job so you can literally ride a bicycle 50 miles a day and not be inside. Like, why? Why are we doing this?
Yeah. I mean, he would do a lot better, like going to like fucking Jimmy John's and getting the fastest delivery times available and becoming like a national franchise. Like, it's not like in the world of just independent contract. Is it independent contract work, or do you get benefits?
It technically is. It is technically independent contract work, but I would like kind of, because it's only like a company of like 6, I would place it like one rung above that, because like my boss is actually a really cool person, and without really revealing too much about him, he is like an actual real deal revolutionary, like from the 80s.
Okay.
I really can't say very much much about him, but it's like suffices to say is like he is on the right side of history.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Bike people, I mean, the bike community here is wild as hell, and there's a bunch of them. And you know, it is a part of of the world. But I also can see what you mean with the outlaw thing, where it's kind of like, you know what, we move documents and things back and forth for people that don't want to deliver. So, and like you said, this is a bike ride. This is for riding bikes. Like this isn't. There's nowhere to go. Like you can start your own company, right? But you're not going to be the manager of the bike people, right? You just need to do the messaging, right?
Yeah, exactly. Also, this is like, I wanted to mention it. I don't know if it's completely helpful. I don't live in Portland, but I did live there for a decade. So I can't speak to any of the actual protests that are happening on the ground. But if you ever were curious about Portland, I can maybe answer a question or two.
Sweet. Yeah, I think we'll probably, I'm sure we'll get some callers from Portland.
Yeah, I'm
tonight.
hoping.
Yeah, I think a lot of those protests are happening around the same place that Occupy happened, like back in 2011.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. That's sort of the hope for something like that's the place that, it's good to have them in a place that is recognized as a sort of place where political action happens. That's where the ones in Columbus did too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know anybody personally involved with it, but you hope for the best there. It just seems like ever since I left in 2016, it seems like the kind of like Proud Boy element and just sort of weird right-wing element really, really reared its ugly head. Kind of like since Trump got elected, because there was always that undercurrent of like white nationalism there, but it was kind of buried in the suburbs like Gresham or Troutdale or whatever,
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a higher level of organization, like against the state and against the police, but on the same time, the right wing element is much stronger too. Ours here are mostly like Bubba's that are out in the country that they tried to do a drive-through. They met up in like Circleville and drove downtown to do like a big ass truck parade. But they weren't like shooting paintballs at anybody or knifing people and shit, And when we went to like Eugene, there was just like people that were showing us literal wounds from fighting Nazis and shit. Like this guy had 2 teeth punched through his fucking lip, and all kinds of all kinds of fucking war battle wounds that it just isn't that level in Columbus.
Oh yeah, Eugene is a wild place. Like I think for a long time it was maybe the anarcho capital of the United States. There was like a lot of people, like good people who lived in Eugene, but I don't know, it has the same sort of feel as Olympia, Washington.